everybody. This is Tribe Builders Podcast, and I am Tanya Rooney, and I am super stoked today to have a guy named Kurt Pauley on my podcast, who is from the Minneapolis-Saint Paul area that I live in. Hi, Kurt.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So I love to start off with just telling you guys how I know people. And Kurt is an interesting one. I have known this man for 5 or 6 years now. We've done some real estate chats, quite a few, honestly, over the years. But the way that I met him was at a meetup that he hosts that is absolutely fantastic, honestly. And we were just talking about how long it's been. He hosts them at breweries, typically in the Twin Cities. And sometimes you know a person for so long, you don't even remember. It's just a blur. I just know Kurt. I don't actually remember sometimes how I meet people. So it's kind of fun to actually think about that and reflect on it. So yeah. So Kurt, can you tell us a little bit about what you do, like what your company is? And then, we'll start with that.
Yeah, for sure. I split my time between being a broker and an investor. So as a broker, I'm with NEI Legacy, and I'm on the multifamily team here, but I do a lot of different deals in the commercial world. So not just multifamily. I have that. And then on the flip side, I have 76 units that I own. I've done some through syndications, some partnerships, and some other ways to structure those investments. But it seems year after year, I spend more time on my investments in my brokerage. My brokerage probably doesn't like that, but they support me to continue building my portfolio, which is nice. So yeah. That's what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. And then can you tell people about the community you've built, specifically around that meetup? How'd you do it? When did it start? Why did it start?
The meetup group's an amazing thing. In 2018 is when I started it. And it was one of those things where you listen to podcasts, you listen to speakers, you listen to people. They say network, they say go to meetup groups and do all that. Right. And I'm a go-getter, risk-taker. I don't even know what it is, but I'm just like, next week I'm going to post a meetup at Venn Brewing, see what happens. Eventually I'm going to have speakers and have this amazing meetup group. But at that point, I just posted one a week out. 13 people showed up. And a lot of people said, this is amazing. We don't have to wait for a speaker to get done. We just network the whole time. I'm like, yeah. And then that was like a ding-ding moment for me. I'm like, oh, wow, I can have this meetup group, just have people network. I never need to coordinate speakers and going to be great. So I literally just put that meetup group on repeat on meetup.com, did nothing other than host the events once a month. I've only missed a couple. And then fast forward today, there's over 2,000 members. So it just grew through meetup.com, grew organically, through people coming again, telling their friends, and also whatever meetup does to get people to join the group, right? So that thing has grown into a beast of a meetup, and we do it once a month. And it's awesome. It was life-changing for me, and still is. It's given me a lot in terms of my business, right? In terms of clients as a realtor, investors in my deals, partners in my deals. And I know lots of people in the real estate industry now, right? Any event I go to, anything I need, I know a lot of people. And yeah, it's made everything easy for me.
Yeah, people totally know who Kurt Pauley is. So you didn't know, what did your network look like before you started that meetup? Like for real estate specifically?
It was small. I was a residential agent back then, doing investments on the side. So basically, I just had my broker and then a handful of people I knew, around the Twin Cities. I'm going to other meetup groups. So it was really small. At that time, I really had a focus to grow my network. So not only was I hosting my meetup group, but I knew if I went to 2 other meetup groups a month, I could really build my network and continue to grow. So, that was one of my KPIs always, was to go to those meetup groups. I was tracking how many I'd go to each month at the beginning.
That's awesome. So how many people do you think go to your meetups now? Like, what's kind of just an average of how many people show up for this meeting or this networking session?
Oh, you froze for a second. Sorry.
I think it must be the internet connection. Here, I'll put that at 5 minutes. So get out the dead spot. Okay, so my question is, how many people are coming to your networking group meeting every month?
About 50 people is like average what we get. We've been doing Steel Toe Brewing last couple of times people said it felt like a party. So I love that. It's like half the people have been coming for like 5 years, like you said, a tribe,
Yeah,
there's a book
it's
called Build Your Tribe, I think, by Seth Godin that I read at the beginning of it all, but there really is a tribe there, like people that have been coming a long time, and then new people come and kind of see the energy that's formed between the members that have been coming a long time, right? And
Mhm.
it's something people want to be a part of.
That's super cool. Can you tell me, like, what is something that has come out of the group that you've really enjoyed seeing that you had no expectation that something like that would happen?
Mm, no expectation. I did expect a lot of good things to come, like investors and partners and clients and all that stuff. But I think genuine friendships with a couple people, I didn't really expect that, to find people that would become like lifelong friends of mine.
So, Kurt, tell me what thing have you enjoyed seeing happen in your community that it wasn't really intentional, but like you didn't think it was going to happen, and then it did.
I thought a lot of things were going to happen, like get clients and get investors and partners and stuff. I was hoping that would happen, and I'm an optimistic guy. But I think when I think about that, there's a couple things. One of them, just a couple people became real personal friends of mine, not just real estate buddies, and that was awesome. And someone that I really jive with. They have the same mentality on these type of things, that also understand my real estate struggles in that part of my life, but have grown to be really close friends. So that's been awesome. And I think the other thing I didn't really expect was for so many other members of the group to form their own partnerships, right? I guess I just didn't think about that. But when I see now, I know two people running a syndication company right now in the Twin Cities, and they met at my meetup group. So
That's
I'm like, you
so
guys got to give me a
awesome.
cut of that, because I am you guys, but I haven't seen my cut yet. But I always think I should get one. But no, it's been great too, and I'm just happy for all that. All the people that meet each other and also find a friend or find a partner. It's just been pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's super cool. Well, you just came up with the spot for them. Like sometimes it's kind of like you have the thing and they will come. And it sounds like you have somehow figured out how to get a ton of people consistently, which is really, really big. But I feel like, how long did it take to do that? Like, I'm assuming that it didn't work that way right away. It wasn't always 50 people a meeting, but did it like slowly grow over 5 years, or was it like, oh, we saw a ton of growth in COVID or something?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, the first one was 13, and then it picked up to about 20 a meetup pretty quick, which was good. And it probably stayed to between 20 and 30 until COVID. And I think you're right that like it's been big since COVID's over and people came back out. During COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I went to a once a week thing. I did it once a week over Zoom, and we built
Oh,
a big
cool.
following during COVID, or I did, doing that. And it was a lot of
Mhm.
fun. And then a lot of those people that would come virtually during COVID came in person. And
So you actually got to meet them in real life.
yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, since we came back from COVID, it's been steady numbers, and people have enjoyed it.
That's that's awesome. So what is tell me about something that maybe you're working on it now, or something that has come from these relationships that you've built. Like maybe like tell me about a deal or two that have been really cool because of your meetup and your community or something like that.
Yeah, so many. I mean, I always think of one particular story where there's this person that was redoing mixed use buildings in my neighborhood and doing all these investments. I thought they were very cool. I'm like, who is this guy? I wrote his name in this notebook I had. And then the following month at my meetup group, this guy comes to my meetup group, and um, it happened to be that person whose name I wrote in my notebook of someone I needed to network with. And we talked about vacation for 20 minutes. I'm like, what's your name, dude? And he told me his name, and I'm like, no way, you're written in my notebook. And he's like, well, that's kind of creepy. But no, and we got super close, and I would send that guy investments. So I try to find him deals, try to add value to him somehow. And a couple
Mhm.
people I knew from my meetup group wanted to invest passively. And I said, go talk to this guy. His name's Andy Root. Go talk to Andy. And, like a year after that, I had been friends with Andy, sending him properties, do this and that. But he's like, Kurt, meet me for tacos next week. I'm like, okay. I was going to Japan the next day. I always remember it. He gives me these papers. He's like, sign these papers. And I'm like, what are they? He's like, sign them and I'll tell you. I'm like, okay. So I just signed them. And then he's like, I just gave you 3% ownership in 23 units. And I'm like, why'd you do that? He's like, because you sent me those investors, and I want you to help me do some construction management stuff on these projects, and I want us to grow together. I'm like, wow, thank you, dude.
What? That's so cool. I've never heard of any story like this. This is so cool.
Story before, yeah. So that was amazing. He really took me under his wing, and taught me different ownership structures and syndication type things to do. So for a couple of years there, when I was buying properties, a lot of it was through his guidance and help, or at least having that person I could ask like multiple questions to a day and not feel bad about asking them. I've always had that person in my realm, like someone smarter than me that I can ask questions, and that's been crucial.
That's so cool. That's so awesome. And is there any like, is this the guy that you're doing the development with?
No, that's funny you asked. No, it's not. So but one of the guys I'm doing development with, I did meet at my meetup group like 3 years ago. And then I spent the last probably year and a half learning about development, trying to position myself in a way where I could build something. And I found a piece of land, and then I knew I could go to this guy who I'd met at my meetup group that was doing small buildings. So I'm like, reached out to him. Our ethos are very similar. We get along, and, now we're doing this development together. So yeah, I met them through my meetup too. And I remember first meeting him, I'm like, you're building something, dude, you're crazy. But then now I'm him and doing it as well. But
okay, can you tell me about like, what are you guys building? Because I already know about the project, but I want you to tell somebody that doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Because it's really cool.
Yeah, I have a couple developments in play right now, and I'm trying to acquire some more land. But on the one, it's about a block from Lake Nokomis. We're kind of in the middle of, we're going to build condos or apartments right now. We actually haven't decided which one we're going to do quite yet. We're getting funding from the city to do certain parts of the project, so they will have a say in what we do. But in general, probably 40 apartments over 2 lots. One lot has an old mechanic shop on it, and there's some environmental issues we have to navigate. And the other lot is a single family house. So.
Okay, and how did you get those lots?
I actually tried to buy the one since 2019. And I would cold call, never got the right person. I was so frustrated. I was like, I'm usually the guy that can get a hold of anyone. And that one was a real tough one. But then there was a for sale by owner sign in the window one day of the mechanic shop. And then ended up 10 people offered on it at once. And I was like, oh God, I cannot lose this one. I saw it first, I was like all worked up. And, actually so 10 of us offered, they went with our offer. We offered 406 for this one lot. And I'm like, oh, we got to up it a little, one more thousand, 406 instead of 405, and I think that's what got it. But I ended up talking with the seller and the seller's agent, and 2 things got me the deal. One, because I knew the seller's son-in-law through this housing ministry thing I do at my church randomly. And second, the seller's attorney knows the owners of my brokerage and says people at that brokerage know what they're doing. You should probably go with this guy's offer. So these 2 things in my network got me the deal actually too, so that's why it's good to have lots of connections, lots of people on your side, and, keep your reputation high everywhere you go. Right. I mean, that's what got me that deal, and then we had to buy the house next door. That guy said, I'm not going to sell for 20 years, this and that. I kept calling him, and I remember I was going to go to Spain in September. And I'm like, I'm going to call this guy right before I fly away here. I'm just going to see what's up. He's like, I lost your number. My dad told me I should sell it to you. He's like, I changed my mind. I want to sell it. I'm like, sweet, dude. And so that's when the project got bigger to get that house next door. So we got lucky per se, but yeah, it's a long time.
That's so awesome. And are you partnering with people on this deal?
So I have myself and 2 other people, and then we'll bring in passive investors on the development side. So we'll probably acquire the sites ourselves, and then we do a development. It'll be a form of a syndication, bring in $3 million from passive investors.
Okay, and then will you fund any of it through the bank or a bank of some kind?
Yeah. There's a couple of local lenders that we work with. Like, they both want the deal, so we're trying to figure out who's going to give us the best terms, basically. Yeah. So we're building in a very energy efficient manner. There's going to be an affordability component, a solar component, e-charging, maybe an e-car shared by the building. And yeah, so the product's really unique that we're building, and it's going for this net zero energy standard. Most developers build it as cheap as possible and put it up there, and that's it. They don't care about any of these other things, right? We're caring about all these other things and trying to make it pencil out, trying to make it cash flow still, which is a big challenge and it's hard to do. So some of these banks will incentivize us for doing these certain things. Like Sunrise Bank wants to have these type of buildings in their portfolio, so they'll give us a rate cut to do it and give it longer amortization and stuff. So yeah, and we're also getting different grants from the city and different, there's multiple capital sources going into it, and that's part of what is complicated, but part of what makes it work.
Yeah, and it sounds like you don't mind doing the complex stuff because you stay on things, and it's worth your time.
Yeah, no, I as your island of knowledge grows, so do your shores of ignorance. It's true. Every time I grow in real estate, I get pushed up against more complex ideas. So I have to be a student. I have to be able to learn, because I know, now I want to do development. Now there's tons, now there's 40 complex ideas versus like a duplex is like 4 complex things, or like 4 variables that aren't hard, and there's literally like 40 variables. And yeah, it's fun. I like a challenge, and I hate when I'm not good at something or hate when I don't understand something. So I push. Yeah. And I feel like an idiot 10 times a day because I ask lots of questions, right? And that's the difference, right, between me and lots of people that can't do it, right? Why can't they do it? They can't ask questions. They can't say, I don't know. It hurts their ego to say, I don't know. What does that acronym mean? They just don't like to say it. It's hard. It's hard for me to say, I ask all these questions, but you get used to it.
And it seems like you found people that will answer the questions. I mean, to me, like that, it's the same thing that I've done. It's like, I just ask a lot of questions. I love asking questions. And that is one reason that I feel like I found certain people, they'll know, like, if I'm confused about something, if I feel like, oh shit, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I have people that will come to my aid because they know that I'll at least ask.
For sure. I mean, I'm just always trying to be the dumbest guy in the room, so I'm always around really smart people and people I'm comfortable with, and I work my ass off to add immense value to them, and do things for them. So when I need something for them, there's probably 10 favors I did for them already that they're going to be like, no problem, Kurt, we'll help you, So I like to build up this goodwill with other people, I think, and something like that, and I try to add value to them. It's like the age-old thing, like everyone says in these podcasts and whatever, add value to someone, add value, And you know what I hate when someone says, Kurt, how do I add value to you? I'm like, figure it the fuck out. I'm like, don't ask me. I got to spend fucking half hour trying to figure out how you're going to add value and train you and do all these things. No, just do something, because someone that can add value to me without being told that, like, they're next level to me. They're like, they have that hustle.
There's somebody you want to pour in. Yeah, you might want to pour into them a little bit easier.
Exactly. You got to have the hustle.
I really, really, really love that you actually said that, because I think that's probably the biggest gold bomb ever. And it's mainly because when somebody wants a mentor, when somebody wants to follow somebody or learn something new, they want to reach out. And like, I think it's great that people reach out, or they pay to play, or they go into a group and find somebody. But knowing that you need to add value first and not like make everything harder for the person that you even want. Like, you don't ask somebody, will you be my mentor? You want to bring the value and then ask them the question so that they'll answer. But if you can already bring value in the beginning, I mean, that's just like, so fantastic.
Yeah.
I love that. So it sounds like you're pretty decent at, figuring out how to do things, and that, you'll ask the questions. I feel like you've done some pretty cool things. Like, you just said that you have 76 units. I actually didn't know how many units you had. I knew that you had real estate, and you treat me the same as you would treat anybody else. And I would treat you the same as well, whether you have 76 units, whether you have 1 unit, 0 unit, or, 4,000. But I'm curious, it seems like self-limiting beliefs are a thing for us. And to me, from the outside looking in, it looks like you're pretty good at just knocking those down. But can you tell me if you have any self-limiting beliefs, and then how have you gotten over them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the self-limiting beliefs thing is super important, and it reminds me when I was getting into real estate. I'm like trying to read all these books. Some said your personal level of success rarely exceeds your personal level of development. So develop yourself first, and success will follow. If you only do that on the real estate side, it's not going to work, right? If you have self-limiting beliefs or mental health issues, whatever it may be, something you're struggling with, you have to work on that piece too, because if you don't, it's going to be hard to be successful on the other side. So I think I did a good job of working on both things. I like a not the perfect childhood or whatever. So if I look at my life, I'd have lots of reasons to say, oh, this is why I didn't do it. This is why I couldn't make it this far because I had this trouble in my life. So when people come to
Mhm.
me and say, I could never develop, I'm like, what's the difference between you and me? It is those self-limiting beliefs, right? It's those individual, and for some reason, I've been able to weed those out to know that like certain thoughts I have in my head aren't me. I can let now I can let a negative thought pass and not take it personally when probably in the past I did take it personally. But I think honestly, I don't know what else to say other than like work with my therapist and like really focus on this part of my life, like allowed me to do that, right? And I've always been a major risk taker. When I was a kid, I would tons like I went to the emergency room like every week. I had a million broken bones. Why? Because I was jumping floors off ramps and doing crazy shit all the time. Like the same stuff into real estate today. I'm a risk taker. I go for it. I know life's short. I believe I can. I believe I can do anything I put my mind to. It's like as you're a kid, they're like, you can be anything, and then you're like, shit, okay, cool, I can be anything. Then like college comes around, you're like, actually, you should probably get a degree that like makes more sense. Don't get the art degree, get the business degree, and you'll be better off. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, kid, I can't really be what I want to be. I got to be what they say I'm going to be and get this job to pay this money. And now, and then I grew out of that again. Think, oh yeah, wait, I can do anything I want again, and I'm back feeling like a child again with this. I can go for it. So I think we go through these waves in life, right? And um, luckily for me, yeah, I knew I felt like a caged animal, and when I worked in corporate America, I trust my instincts. I'm like, I got to get the fuck out of there. I got to go do something else. And yeah, it's hard. That's the thing. It's like everything I've done is hard. I've had a lot of lucky breaks, but it's just forging ahead to me. And I don't want to
Yeah.
sound cocky or anything, but I've always known since I was a kid that I have like this special hustle in me, and my grandparents say it's in my DNA. Like I know I can figure stuff out. And I know I can do like anything that's in my mind to. I know I can't be an NBA player, but like I tell my friends, I want to buy a soccer team someday. And some people think I'm crazy, but my true friends know it's like, no, Kurt means that when he says
Kurt's gonna do it. Oh my god, that is gonna be so cool. I
that.
100% will tell everybody about it. Yeah, my buddy bought a soccer team. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know you well
someday,
enough for that too.
exactly.
Oh, that's super cool. Okay, I feel like I was gonna ask you about your superpower, but it kind of sounds like that's your superpower is like your hustle and your wanting to figure things out.
Yeah,
So
I think no, I think my superpower is just communicating with people, and knowing how certain individuals want to be treated and spoken to, and I can make friends with a homeless person or a CEO, right? Because I know how to speak to them in a certain way. I know how they want to be acknowledged, and I think they want to be listened to. Most of all, most people, we all sit here have conversations, but most of the time we just wait for our turn to talk. But really, if we listen, yeah. So I think connecting with anyone is my superpower. Like from here to wherever I travel in the world, I'm making friends with someone. I'm joking around having
yeah.
friends with someone, and it's just in me. So
That's so awesome. I'm so happy that you know that about yourself. But when do you think you actually realize that? I don't feel like we always know that we have that in us. When do you feel like you stumbled on that?
um, I mean, pretty much my whole life. I mean, I knew like my charisma and the way to like connect with people would like get me out of trouble in elementary school. Like I could talk to the teachers in a certain way, and like yes, I'd get in trouble, but also the teachers loved me, and I was able to like always just, I don't know, finesse my way out of trouble,
Get out
and,
of it.
and get out of everything. And I've just always been able to do that, probably to a fault, because it made me feel like I can do whatever I want and get whatever I want, and it's not always true. But yeah, I've known that for a long time, and I genuinely love people, and I'm genuinely curious about everyone. So it's natural to me. I'm like, I want to know what this person's about. I want to know their story. Like, I don't know. It just, yeah, intrigues me.
Oh, that's awesome. Like being curious is helpful. At least I think it's helpful.
Oh God, that's the number one thing. I
Yeah.
think, you just keep your curiosity with everything all the time. You know.
Yeah, and the craziest stuff happens. Like, can you tell me about one of the craziest deals you've ever done that like is in when I call it crazy, it's just most people would look at that and be like, how the fuck did that ever work out? I don't understand. Do you have any instances like that?
Hmm. Let me think. I mean, I've had a lot of unique things go my way. Got a lot of luck within each deal. I always say I always have the stroke of luck within each deal. And I read in The Alchemist at the beginning, basically, if you chase it 110%, you're out beginner's luck. Well, I still have beginner's luck all the time. And no, I mean, one time, I just remember how like these moments in my life when my old broker told me about this sixplex, for example. He's like, 800,000 Northeast Minneapolis. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, how the F am I going to buy this thing? And I was like new into real estate then. I didn't really understand it. And I had this triplex in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm like, oh, I can sell that triplex. And then 1031, I'll have half the money. So I need the 50% partners for the other half. Then I thought of these two guys that I met at my very first meetup group. I'm like, maybe they'll want to do it. Soon enough, 3 different people I knew wanted to be the other 50% partner on the sixplex.
Uh-huh.
Then I made a deal with the one party and I said, hey, basically, you can buy, if one of you buys the triplex from me in Omaha, then I can sell that in 1031 and you guys can buy this triplex in Omaha. And one guy's like, Kurt, we'll buy the triplex from you in Omaha and we'll start a new LLC and you'll be a 1/3 owner of it still. So I sold the triplex, but had 1/3 ownership in the company that bought it, but still got my 105 out. They put 105 in, we bought the sixplex. So it was just a really unique thing that I like sold the property, got all my money out and retained 1/3 ownership of that in that property, which then sold again at a later date. I got paid again. It's just a unique way to structure that one. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
I think that's a good example. It's kind of complicated, but
No, that's actually my favorite example. I did know that existed, and it's such a fun, like, what a random story. I feel like anytime I meet up with you, there's some kind of random story I get to listen to and learn something new about you. And it's just these tiny little inklings that you're like, wait a minute, what? You did what? Like, you're just kind of like one of those guys that's just, you're lying in the grass, but people kind of know you're there, but you're doing all kinds of really cool things, and I love that you put your hand down for the next people to come up too. So
for
that's one of
sure.
the cool things about you. Like, I know I've asked you for help and every time you're ready to jump in, and that's a really, really cool it's a cool trait to have in a person, especially somebody that likes to build community around a certain subject like real estate, like you have.
Yeah, exactly. Be open and honest with everything. It's totally the abundance for scarcity thing, right? I naturally think there's enough for everyone. I'm abundant. I'm like, I'm happy to share anything, right? If this can help you do your deal. I'll teach you.
Oh, that's super cool. So, I got a question for you. If you could fix one thing, what would it be? And I'm intentionally leaving this like totally open. It could be a global issue, it could be a local issue, it could be personal, it could be business.
Oh my, I would change weekends to 3 days.
That's the best answer ever. And you would have everybody do this.
No, every day's a weekend for me. But no, there's so many things I want to fix. Like, yeah, but I don't want to get political, which I probably would. So
Oh, totally cool. I think that's right. That's a really good answer. It's really fun. So, okay, so I guess kind of winding down here. Like, I love getting to talk to you. I could talk to you about real estate for like ever, but tell me like what's one thing that you're looking for right now in your business? Like, I know that you're a commercial broker. You're also you do investor stuff. Like, is there anything cool that you're looking for right now?
I guess the big thing I'm looking for is that I spend my time on lately is investors to go into my developments. That's what I spend a lot of time on lately is talking with passive investors to do that. So that and more land for future developments, right? It's hard to develop right now in the current climate. So we're trying to tee up developments for the future. So that.
And where do you want to do these developments? Are they just in the Twin Cities or?
Yeah, just in the Twin Cities. Yeah, South Minneapolis, basically, primarily. North
Okay.
Minneapolis a little bit, but yeah.
All right. That's super awesome. Okay. I don't think I have anything else for the day. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and hang with me, though. Like any chance I get to talk to you and learn from you, I'm always excited as heck about it. So I'm really happy that you said yes. And yeah, thanks for hanging.
Yeah, this has been great. Have me on again. I enjoyed it. I could talk.
I know. And if oh, actually, sorry, I have to pause here. If somebody wants to get in touch with you, where can they find you? Like, what's the best spot to find you?
Probably Instagram at Kurt-Pauley, or call me or email me. Can I say those?
If you want to.
612-547-8465. Call me.
Okay, and his name is Kurt, Kurt-Pauley, or is it just Kurt Pauley on Instagram?
Kurt-Pauley on Instagram. Yep.
Okay, I'll put that in the show notes, but definitely hit him up. Be like, he really likes to talk about soccer too. I know that maybe you can call it like.
I definitely know more than all you out there.
Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me. And if somebody wants to join your meetup, like where do they find that?
Yeah, I'll give you a link. It's on meetup.com, Real Estate Investors Social, but I'll send you the link for sure.
Okay, that's perfect. Well, I would love to send people your way. And so, yeah, if anybody wants to meet Kurt in real life, come to Minnesota. Like, even if you're coming from a different state, you should come because he's got a pretty bitchin' meetup. So, and yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks a lot, Kurt. And I hope you have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye.
All right, later.